relevant, reliable, and researched. This is Experts on Call, the show focused on delivering leading-edge news and information on today's most beneficial products and services. This is Experts on Call on AM 650.
Welcome back to this edition of Experts on Call, Key Pacific's Talk About Strata. Your co-host, Tony Gioventu, Executive Director of the Condominium Homeowners Association of British Columbia, and me, Stirling Fox, joined in studio by Dan Schmidt. Dan's the sales manager with Remdal Painting and Restoration. Of course, it's spring 2013 in a couple of days officially, but it's that time of year at which a lot of homeowners of all descriptions start to thinking about sprucing up the old joint for a summer of entertainment and sunshine. And Dan, we've been, with your very capable assistance, taking a good long look at how stratas and condominium complexes can get the best bang for their buck when they need to do these paint jobs, because they're massive. They cost many, many, many thousands of dollars. So you want to make sure you're spending your money smartly. One of the things that we haven't talked about is those attachments to the buildings. In an apartment building, you're looking at balconies, but in a condominium strata complex, a lot of those are set up so that each unit has a deck of some description off a family room or whatever, sometimes a sizable one. Is that, when the building or the whole thing gets repainted, are the decks included, or is that the responsibility of the individual homeowner?
Yeah, typically those are included in the work if they've been built as part of the original construction.
Okay.
Unless a homeowner rather has gone and added their own decks and so on, done their own assessments.
But if it's original equipment, then it gets redone.
Included. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And part of the difficulty with decks and balconies are their horizontal surfaces, and so water tends to sit on them, and pond and pool, and what that means is that they take a lot more weathering. A lot more, they damage and they wear out a lot more quickly than a typical surface like a wall surface would.
But we like to think that we're smart here in BC with access to the forests that we have and all of those products. Don't we build our decks out of water-treated wood, some kind of chemical dip we put this stuff in before we put it on, attach it to the back of our house? And does that work?
Well, pressure-treated wood is the most common source of good decking material nowadays.
Okay.
And the changes in the environment have meant that the copper additives that used to be in wood treatments are no longer in them. So some of the treatments that they're using to make pressure-treated wood, they just don't last quite as long as they used to.
Okay.
And so the wood is really good in the early years, but the longevity of it needs to be protected in an earlier cycle, whether that be by some other treatment, water repellents, or whether it be a covering over top of it, or whether it be a paint or a stain of some sort.
Okay. And Tony, again, I'm going back to the flood of emails that you get at this time of the year when people voicing their frustrations. When we have these decks, what are the common problems that you hear about with people and their deck issues? Or are there such things? Do people generally get well taken care of and don't have any problems with decks?
Well, one of the problems that we have, and it's the unseen problem, but the number of rooftop decks. A deck is sitting on something else, right? So
Right.
that's what makes it a deck. Balconies are hanging on the side of the building. They're a separate freestanding structure
Right.
in some way, part of the building, or they're hanging out as an extension from the building. But decks on rooftop buildings have all kinds of complications to them because they may not have been originally permitted, or they were permitted and people have expanded the area that they're using, but the decking material is usually sitting on roofing material. It's frequently not protected, or it doesn't have sufficient drainage under it, or it doesn't have sufficient gaskets or protective materials under the wood decking, which causes damage to the roofing systems, or they themselves, the decking itself is not maintained properly, which causes rot, which causes buildup of debris on the roofing system and other types of deterioration restoration. We end up with things like ice dams on roof systems as a result of decking, where you have heated areas underneath, and as the snow melts, it just builds up with ice, and it forms other types of problems for the roofing system. So, so as part of, your routine cycle of painting, it's also a really great time to be checking all of your decking systems at the same time. Make sure that they're maintained and protected, and make sure the Strata Corporation's maintaining them. Don't let owners maintain rooftop decking systems. Make sure the Strata does it to ensure that it actually gets done properly. That's one of the big issues that we face.
And Dan, you were talking earlier about a relatively inexpensive, to the tune of maybe $500 inspection, a good, thorough once-over by a representative from the Master Painting and Decorating Institute, a professional to come out and really eyeball your project before you spend any more than what his or her fee is you're going to learn a lot, I would expect, not only about what the paint job is likely to cost, but that individual is going to take a look at all of those decks and balconies and such too, Tony, right? And tell you, hey, boy, you're going to need some work here. In addition, you can't just throw a coat of paint on it. It's not going to hold together.
Well, if we're dealing with the cosmetic finishing with respects to the paint and the wood surfaces, they will certainly do that. But with respects to decks and balconies, rooftop decks, balconies on buildings, ground floor patios, those types of surfaces, everything that has additional structures on them and drainage, it's worthwhile to have building inspections by an envelope consultant on a regular basis.
Okay.
Don't underestimate the risks that are associated with not detailing. Some of the, as Dan said, balconies are horizontal membranes, right? And so they hold water and they hold snow and they're exposed to more weather. And a lot of the wood detailing associated with those areas won't have the same lifespan as a vertical wall that you've painted.
True.
So it needs more inspection, more paint, probably more finishing, more treatment on a more routine basis. So, so a lot of those are issues that we deal with. The other thing that we forget about are fences. And if you're in a townhouse complex, a bare land strata, or an apartment building that has large landscaping, you will have fences.
Sure.
And so the treatment, the painting, the detailing, the preparation, and the longevity of those fences, both for aesthetic and for safety reasons, are going to be important as well.
Dan, what do you do when your guys show up at a project and you're working on a fence or a deck or whatever, and the assessment hasn't been done, and all of a sudden you come across something that is in need of repair? As I just said, throwing a coat of paint isn't going to fix anything. It may make it look a little less horrible, but it's not fixing anything. So you can't, in good conscience, just paint it over. So what do you do when you find something that has been overlooked for whatever reason and definitely needs to be fixed, not just painted?
Well, and it may have been overlooked. It may also have been revealed by the preparation process I talked to you earlier about.
Yeah.
Because there may have been mold or mildew covering it or that kind of thing. And when we go and wash the surfaces and get rid of all that, and now we suddenly see that the wood that maybe no one's been able to get up to or see is not in good shape and needs repair. And so what we'll typically do is we'll stop in that area. We'll assess with the Strata Council. We'll communicate to them, look, you've got a problem in this area or this area. And this is the kind of repair that is needed. And if they would like, we'll give them a quotation where we're able to actually update it.
Okay, so you're equipped to make whatever repairs are necessary, but it's not automatic. You still have to get permission because that it would involve more than just painting, right?
Yeah, that would normally be part of some contingency that they would have set aside early on in the contractual process, and that would come out of that. Yes.
If we want to learn more about Remdal Painting and Restoration, is there a website you could direct us to?
Yeah, I think the best place for them to go is our website, remdal.com, remdal.com.
All right, and the best website in this province for anything and everything about Strata is the Condominium Homeowners Association website. That abbreviation is CHOA, and the website is CHOA or CHOA.bc.ca. Its executive director is the one and only Tony Gioventu. I'm Stirling Fox. We thank you, Dan Schmidt from Remdal, for being with us, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.